Welcome to the Hump Day Podcast. It's Gary Lamkin, and today it is, what's today? Today is
Wednesday.
June 11th.
No, it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. We record this on
Hump Day.
Tuesday. Hump Day.
Pre-hump day.
Pre-hump.
Stop interrupting you.
It's like foreplay. Pre-hump. I had a special guest today. You just heard him. Mr. Steve Coombs, local comedian, local friend.
Hello, Gary.
Hello, Steve. How you doing?
Good. I've got a cold.
Oh yeah, he is dying. So if you hear him cough or die, then that's what that is.
We're going to call this the Phlegmcast.
Phlegmcast. That is. I'll put it in brackets. I was going to go with that name first.
Phlegmcast?
Phlegmcast, yeah.
Phlegmcast.
I was like, no, it's too mainstream. So I went podcast.
I have children.
You do? That's random.
I do.
You do have kids. Yes, you do.
Hence the Phlegmcast. Hence the colds.
I do not have kids.
Stomach flus and pink eyes and sinus infections.
Oh, so you run on the hospital.
Byproduct of romanticism.
Always good. Always good. I don't have kids. When you were 21, did you want to have kids, Steve? When did you know you want to have kids? How old were you?
Honestly, 8. No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I want to have one of myself one day.
Yeah. I always saw myself having kids. I mean, I came.
You pictured yourself having them? You mean like sexually?
No, that's impossible, Gary. We all know that. It's proven on Oprah.
Stork brings them.
But I always picture myself having a family. I had a brother and a sister. I had one of those families. I was in one of those. Still am. But I had a good relationship with my family. Fun, laughed a lot. So I always saw myself having kids. Yeah.
So you came out of the womb with a predisposed kid want.
I think I got some kind of maternal instinct in me.
Did you carry your kids?
I carried that.
You let your wife carry the kids?
Yeah, she carried them for 9 months. I've been carrying them ever since. So I got a bad back.
Oh, my chair squeaks too. We're having a discussion before we're sort of recording this about a squeaky chair. Mine squeaks.
This is the squeak cast.
That's like when I did my radio show, man. Every week, this chair was just the worst chair. Like, it needed probably WD-40. Like, that's how it's squeaky. Like, it had this rusty fender.
Yeah.
The exhaust was gone. Just squeaked all day long. That wasn't even funny.
Just right. Squeaky.
It's squeaky. That's the thing about these, like, especially if you listen to, like, any other, even a big comedian, like Bill Burr or whatever, his podcast. Like, there's so many points. Guy. He's a big guy.
I'm big. I'm not big, but I'm big.
You're big. Heavy. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything, Steve. You're lovable. You're the lovable size.
I'm lovable. I'm affable.
But there's so many points in podcasts where it's just dead because it can't all be
heavily produced
for an hour. Funny.
It's funny because once podcasts start, you'll hear, like you said, the produced podcasts like the CBC radio ones, and they got the cool. That's what I was asking you earlier. Do you have intro music? And you're like, no, we just start. Which is cool. I mean, they're not all heavily produced, but they're interesting. I find, like last year, I did a lot of back and forth across the island touring and stuff with different guys and by myself. And for the first time, I turned on a podcast or the radio, I should say, CBC radio, because you get out so far outside of St. John's and you realize you got the mini pops in the car player, and you can only listen to it for so long because the kids left their CD there. And I started listening to this archival interview with Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney, the most interesting man in the world. And but it was with Gomeshi.
Oh yeah,
and it was an archival one. It was when Mickey Rooney was doing the Wizard of Oz in Toronto, and he was talking all about his past. But he got very almost Billy Bob. Like he got very weird,
very defensive.
Just weird. In it was one of these interviews where you could tell Gomeshi was kind of like. I guess I'm saying his name right, but
Gian
Gomeshi from Kappa Hayden. He was asking Rooney about how he prepared for this particular role. It was one of the ones he was more famous for. I can't remember the film.
Was it the wrestler? No, it wasn't the wrestler.
Oh, God, wasn't it? No, you're thinking of Mickey Rourke. You're thinking.
Oh, who's
Mickey Rooney?
Oh, okay.
Mickey Rooney is like the little,
yeah.
National Velvet Mickey Rooney. Like,
no, he's yeah.
But he's the voice of. I only, and you know something.
Mickey Rourke, same thing.
I only realized this recently, and I love these movies. I got them home on DVD. I watch them with the kids every year. Like Santa Claus is coming to town.
Yeah.
That's Mickey Rooney. He's the voice of Kris Kringle. He's the voice of Santa Claus.
Okay.
But Dana Carvey used to do a really good impression of him back, like, in the Dana Carvey, Mike Myers days of Saturday Night Live. When Carvey be really famous for making fun of, like, Regis Philbin, and they make fun of Regis Philbin and Kathy Lee Gifford when they hosted Regis and Kathy Lee, which you probably remember Regis and Kelly Ripa.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, he used to do a really good impression of Mickey Rooney. But going back to the radio thing, Gomeshi was asking him about preparing for this role, and all of a sudden he started getting really cryptic with him. He was like, "What do you mean? How did I prepare? I just showed up." He's like, "Well, what did you? How did I get into the role? I got into a taxi, and it dropped me off, and I read my lines. And it's just like very."
Was he just like trying to do a character?
Well, no, he was just that was him. He was just he's had a colorful past.
Is he alive?
No. He actually passed away this year, I think.
I'll just call him a dick.
But go ahead. Too soon? I don't know.
Is it too soon to call Mickey Rooney a dick?
But I guess I tend to meander. I go off on tangents. But I found like driving across the island. I could listen to CBC radio more than I could listen to half the stuff that was on the radio. Like, and it was mostly talk radio.
Yeah.
And that's when I first, I was clicking in, like, wow, I gotta start listening to more talking.
Yeah, it's interesting. You'd be surprised. Yeah, I mean, I can sit down. The only one I probably can't listen to fully is Joe Rogan's, because he does a 3-hour podcast.
And his are like littered with commercials, aren't they? Cause
it's video too.
Well, see, one of the guys, or two of the guys, I did an SPCA tour across the island last year with James Hewlett and Gabriel Rutledge. Two great guys. Gabe is a comic from Seattle, very funny guy, right? And James said to me, he said, "Do you mind if I throw on a few podcasts for sure?" And we were listening to him, and he mentioned that he had I think it was the Joe Rogan one on, and it's just like constantly fast forwarding because it was like all kinds of commercials for
It's all sex stuff too, like fleshlights and dick bags. I don't know what a dick bag is.
Yeah, I don't either.
But do you buy the dick bag, Steve?
No, I don't buy dick bags. Ziploc bags, sandwich bags, for lunches.
That's cookie
dick bags. That gets. They're not allowed in school. Those and peanuts.
They're the same thing, right? Peanuts and dick bags and.
Well, there's an allergy apparently.
There's an allergy to dick bags going around.
Yeah. But I guess podcasts are like documentaries. I find if I'm home and I'll throw on a documentary, and it can be anything from like how's it made. They're the safe documentaries because they're only like 22 minutes long plus commercials.
Yeah.
Whereas you get into
so
something
you can get out.
Like that Jack White. Frig, what's his name? The Edge and Robert Plant. There was a documentary on about those guys one time, and I'm not hugely into those guys, but next thing you know, I got to watch the whole 2-hour documentary. The same way with Rush Beyond the Lighted Stage, I had to watch.
Is that good?
Oh, it's good. It's an awesome documentary. It's funny because in the documentary, there's a shot of a guy who went to school. Used to play hockey with my brother Mike Lake, and it was when back in like the early '80s or whatever, and when Rush was big anyway, they were coming here. And they weren't coming here because they thought that no one wanted to come see Rush. They wouldn't sell any tickets because they'd come here before and no one really showed up. But I think they were kind of obscure then. Mm-hmm. And then when they announced their Canadian dates, like most bands, American bands, Canadian bands, do the Canadian tour all the way to Halifax.
And stop.
And everyone was kind of pissed off. And they're on TV, like, doing protests and stuff. And it was picked up by the media. And the Rush was like, Geddy Lee was like, we got to go. And one of my brother's friends was there, and he had a sign. He was being interviewed by Much Music, and at the time, like, wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome.
He's the shit now.
Memorial Stadium. No, now he's on a Rush DVD. I think he's actually like a music producer or something, or an artist up in Toronto now. Michael Lake.
You're not closer than me.
No, I just remember him from school, and when I was watching the documentary, that part came out. I was like, "Holy shit, that's the guy! My brother played hockey with him." I thought it was pretty neat.
So why'd you start doing stand up, Steve?
Why?
Yeah.
It's a good question. Well, I started doing stand up because it was always something that chewed away at the back of me, like something I had to answer, something I had to do. I got into it purely out of bucket list. I mean, I grew up. I remember like growing up. Like I said, I had a cool family. Like we always laughed and stuff. And I remember growing up, I'd always like, Friday night you'd watch SCTV, right?
Yeah.
All the reruns of like Saturday Night Live, like
Yeah.
talking about like the Garrett Moores and the Chevy Chase and the Belushi, all those not ready for prime time stuff. And I've always liked comedy, like watching like Carl Burnett, that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like a few years back with the comedy festival, they had a thing in the paper, and it was basically we're doing a stand-up workshop. You can do a 2-day workshop, and then you get a spot to do a 5-minute spot on an open mic thing. And I looked at it, and I hemmed and I hawed, and I was like, oh, it's something I always
How long
wanted
ago
to
was
try.
that?
That was in 2008. Actually, June 19th, 2008. So next week, what's today? Today's
the 10th.
10th. So in 9 days, it'll be my 6-year anniversary doing stand-up. Getting up on stage for the first time. And see, I used to do stuff in school, like do like theater arts and get up and host like a variety show or something, but I kind of got away from it. Like I got away from the visual arts and the performing arts and stuff once I got in the mon, and I did a computer science degree, but so it was always there. Like I always wondered like if. So then when I saw the opportunity to do it, I hemmed and hawed. Probably one of those. When I think about it now, it's funny because you see a lot of speeches and comics talking about it, or you'll see like someone up getting an award, and I'll be saying, don't let anyone tell you can't, because you can. All you gotta do is just do it.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like, as corny as it sounds, it's true. Like, I mean, and I guess some of it's fear of the unknown. Like, fear of, like, who am I kidding? Like, at the time, I was 35 years old. I had a brand new daughter, right? She was Sarah was a little over a year. And I didn't tell my wife about it first. I kind of drafted up the email to send off to Pete, because Pete was like he's one of the producers of the comedy festival, the St. John's Comedy Festival. And
was Trent doing it that year?
Trent didn't do it that year. Al Ray did it.
Oh, okay.
And I think that might have been, I think the year before that, CBC had some kind of contest where they did a similar thing, and you worked. I think Al Ray might have been there the year before, or someone else was there that worked with the contest winner, and they did like an open mic thing. Because when I first started doing stand up, like, and this is another thing too, like when I can remember when I was in high school, one time there was like a stand up contest somewhere downtown, like at the Sundance. I never did do it. I'm glad I didn't do it because I was too young. Well, I would have been too young to go down there anyway because I was in high school. But there was never a stand-up scene here. That was another reason why I never did it, right? There's no real avenue to go out and try it. You're not going to stand up on the side of the street like you can with a guitar and tell jokes because people are going to think you're crazy, right? Yeah. But so I seen this thing, and finally I typed up the email, and I mentioned it to my wife, and I was saying, Ange, what do you think? She was like, go ahead, do it. Give it. Why not, right? And it was like, I think it was like $100 or $50 or something like this for the workshop. And so I sent it off, and then Pete mailed back, and I was like, oh shit, now I gotta do it. Then I was terrified because I was like, I'm gonna go down there in this brand new experience, something I don't know, full of doubt. I remember driving there that morning. I'm like, oh my god, what am I doing? Turn around, go back home. You're crazy. Taking 2 days off work to do a stand-up comedy workshop. And went in. I did it. I was nervous. I met the guys. And I remember going in there, I think the first one there was Sean Walsh. And Sean hasn't been doing stand-up for a while. I haven't seen him, but he had been doing it the first few years that I was doing it.
I know Sean.
Sean, yeah. And who else was there?
You're friends with Jeff.
Jeff Patey. Jeff Patey was there. And there was a reporter from the Telegram, real nice guy, Justin Brake. And he was doing it from the perspective. He was doing this, like, I guess,
as like a journal,
as a journalist, and like he wrote like a little 2-day article in the paper to feature it, and I guess to advertise the festival and such. And Andrew Ivermy was there. Andrew was actually doing stand up now in Toronto. He moved. I think Andrew might have moved like in the winter of 2008, like around there, shortly before Yucks opened, or right on that time. He went to Toronto, and Paul Warford, you know Paul,
yeah,
and Paul's in Halifax now, and Matthew Estevez. I think Estevez might be in Toronto.
He's back and forth, I think.
He's back and forth a bit, yeah. So yeah, it was, and they were the ones, and there was a lady, Bev. She was from the Southern Shore, real nice lady. There was a bunch of us, like it was a small room, right? So you did this 2-day workshop, and you did it with Al Ray. Al is the artistic director, and I believe one of the producers, of the Winnipeg Comedy Festival. So he was here. He was performing. He was also putting off this workshop. So you got a 2-day perspective from a seasoned veteran, someone who had been in the stand-up industry for a good few years, and you know, to give you feedback in terms of here's what to expect, and here's some writing tips, and went through some exercises. And the idea was you had to do your bit the next night. And I remember getting tickets for Andy Jones' Letters from Uncle Val, and I met Pete that night, and I said, man, I can't do it. He said, come on, you got to do it. I was like, no, I'm too nervous, right? And he said, you'll never know if you know. I said, okay, I'll think about it. And I remember saying to my wife, I didn't have a bit. I never had anything so much as a joke. I had a story I thought I was going to tell, but I didn't have a punchline. And after the second day, and I came home, I was still hemming and hawing on it. I had told some of my friends I was going to think about doing it. And, of course, in all places, it comes to you in the bathroom. Where probably about an hour and a half before the show, or 2 hours before the show, I was like, oh, shit, now I got a punchline. Fuck, that means I got to go on stage and do this, right?
Yeah.
Because I, cheat myself if I didn't. And so I worked up the courage and went downstairs, said, we got to go. So we went, and I did it. And, like, in your own mind, it probably came off better than you think. But, like, from what I recall, it was a good experience. Like,
do you remember what joke it was?
Well, the story, at the time, I was going through a lot of weight loss. And I was going through a weight loss program, and it revolved around me losing weight, and then going into the grocery store with my wife. And it was this one night, basically, we were like sleep deprived with the baby, and so like all your defenses are down. You want something to eat, you feel like shit, and it was late. We're after coming from a movie. I'm going into the Sobeys, and I can get a fucking bar and a bag of chips. Right? I was like a total, I haven't eaten the whole day, so I was like in junk mode, right? Like I was like junky, and like I wanted something bad, right? And when we walked into the doors, my wife went and grabbed a thing of strawberries off the produce, right? And I was like, you fucker, right? Like strawberries, like, and like when I seen it, I was like, oh, I knew what she was trying to do in my mind. I was like, she's trying to keep me on a healthy path. But my brain was like, oh, fuck this. I'm getting chips. I'm getting chips and a bar. I'm getting sweet chili heat Doritos. I'm getting like a Kit Kat or a Mr. Big or something like that, and a Pepsi, whatever, right? I'm junking out. So, we're going through the aisles, and I pushed myself past the aisles. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then we got down with the cash, and I was still adamant. Like I was fighting myself in my mind not to get it, but I wanted it. And I wanted to show her that I was going to get it because she picked up strawberries. I said, well, I got the chips up by the cash. And then when we got by the cash, I didn't buy them, right? Mm-hmm. I just bought the stuff and we left. And we got in the car, and she leaned over and she opened up the strawberries and she fed me one, right? But as soon as she fed it to me, like I remember then, like it was almost like your body was going through like a detox of all the shit that I used to eat. And when you'd eat something naturally good that had like natural sugars in it, like strawberries or something, you'd be like Popeye with the spinach. You feel your forearms popping, and so like I just told this story on stage, like I'm telling it now, and talked about how good I felt, and like I looked at her and said, sweetheart, when you picked them strawberries up, she was like, I know. She said, you wanted to get something unhealthy, right? And I said, yeah, I know. I said, when you picked up the strawberries, I basically want to tell you to shove up your fucking arse. Right? Right, that was I was like, you asshole, I want chips, right? And now you're doing this to me, you're making me conflicted. I said, but like, when someone cares about you that much and loves you that much, how can you justify shoving a strawberry up their arse?
That was your punchline.
So that was my punchline. That was just I just told the story like that. But I remember it got a good crowd response. Like I got a good response.
Yeah.
Like not to say, oh, I killed, or I was magnificent. It was my first time on stage. It was enough, and enough laughter. And the crowd was kind too, right? Like I mean, the crowd was, it was a good crowd. Like I remember, I believe who hosted it? Al Ray hosted it that night, right? Al hosted it, and you know he's forthright with the crowd off the top. He's like, you know, these guys, some of their first time going on stage. Be nice, don't go heckling. You know, it takes a lot to get up here. And he did a great job, and John actually headlined it that night. John Sheehan.
Oh, did he?
He closed the night out. It was the first time I met John, saw John. He was fantastic. And the funny thing was, that first night that I did stand up, I had like a weird, like it was a funny experience. Cause I had my buddies there, and a couple of weeks prior to that, I was in the store and I was shopping, and I was in Walmart, and Sarah was up, the baby was up in the car, and Ange, and I had to run in to get some medicine, and on the way out of Walmart, like I also had to go get something in electronics. I can't remember what it was, like a memory card or something like this. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, "Wow, ooh, you work for the government," because he saw the badge on me, right, where I worked at the time. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, right." He goes, "Oh, so what do you do, right?" And I was like, "Oh, you know, I work with computers, right? I fix computers, just trying to keep it." Simple, vague, whatever, right? And then, like, the more I talked to him, I realized, like the poor guy had, like, he was slow or something, right? And so, you know, I was being very nice to him, and I can't brush people off. Like I guess that's one thing I can't do in conversations. I can't disregard people easily. Like I'll just keep engaged until I can very politely get out of the conversation, right? So, and then a clerk came over to help him, and then I kindly excused myself and I went on, but it took a while, and all I could keep thinking in the conversation was like, oh my God, the baby's out in the car, she got like an ear infection or something, she's going off her head, and she probably can't get me because you always got a shitty reception in Walmart and the cell phones, right? So finally I get out in the car, and then this night, fast forward like a month later, and I'm like a bawling, or I'm throwing up, I'm going to the bathroom, everything. It's the first time I'm going on stage, I'm just a ball of anxiety, and right before I go up on stage, I'm talking to my buddies, who shows up? The fucking nowhere, like just a poof, like a ninja. So you guys like comedy? The exact same guy. It was the exact same, and I just stood there. I was like,
do you remember you?
Well, like no, probably because I didn't have my badge on. I don't know, but like when he showed up, it was just kind of like, are you kidding me, universe? Like I'm going on stage, and the Walmart guy just showed up, and like, is he going to keep me here for 30 minutes before I go on stage? And I can't politely get out of the conversation, so. Like, for the first time in my life, I said, oh, excuse me, guys, I got to go. So I left my buddies, and I went and went backstage and waited to go on. And when I was on stage, like this particular night of the open mic night, a lot of the headliners that were playing the gala had come in, and we kind of knew, like, in the back, because some of the guys come in and said, oh, man, Mike McDonald's out there. Really? Yeah, my drummer's up in the back, too. And we're like, oh, Jesus, we got to get up in front of these people and do... And that's the way I was thinking anyway, right? And then when I was up on stage, I started hearing this weird, panty moan, and like I was like, that's not like one of the pros up there, like trying to throw you off, like doing a really weird laugh, and like, but it sounded like a million times louder in my head because I was like, does everybody else hear that?
Yeah.
So I just had to ignore it and keep going, and then I found out from my buddy afterwards that he was sat down with his wife during the show. And he heard this, and he went into the bathroom, and the guy was actually in the bathroom having a seizure. The poor guy was having a seizure, and one of the bouncers was helping him, like one of the workers, and attended to him. But like, you know, it was almost like it's not to make light of the situation. But it was almost like the very first time I tried to do it, it almost seemed like the universe was sending me all these types of signals to trip me up.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, holy cow! But it was like, it was the most surreal. But at the end of the night, the response that you got from the crowd, it was just enough to give you that bite.
Yeah. The want.
That you need to get another fix. Oh, that's awesome. And then the guys at the time, we were all doing it down at the Victory Pub, which is Scanlon's now. They used to do their open mic every night down there on Sunday nights. And George Price, I briefly met George. That was the first time I met George. Was when I was doing the workshop with the guys, and they're all like very supportive. Come on down, man, do stand up. And at the time, I remember thinking to myself like, these are all like 20-year-old guys, right? And they're in Mon, and they have young friends, and no one's going to want to hear, 35-year-old me get up and talk about my baby and my wife and being married. But it turns out it's pretty universal. A lot of people
draws, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the first time. That's what got me into it. And it's funny because after that first night, I must have waited about a month and a half before I could work up the nerve to go down and get on stage and do it again. And next thing you know, I was there every Sunday night doing stand-up. Right up until, we did it all through during the fall, and then Yucks eventually opened up, and then they had the Great Canadian Laugh Off, and then that got you your foot in the door into the club, doing the contest in there.
And that's when I started.
Yeah, because I remember you the first time when you went up on stage, and you came in and you did a joke about skinny jeans, right? And Bill Mack was there. That was the same night Burton Cummings was in the audience. It wasn't Burton Cummings, but it was this guy. It's the first time I seen Bill doing stand-up, one of the first times. And Frosty was there. Darren Frost was one of the judges. Because Darren Frost actually got up and did a little bit afterwards. Because I remember when you did yours, you had to leave right after.
Yeah.
You weren't
16.
You weren't of age. You were allowed to compete, but then you had to leave. Mm-hmm. And you had a chaperone or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's the first time I seen you do stand-up. And, but I mean, I gotta hand you, that's brave. I mean, you were like 16 years old. Go up in front of a club full of adults and do stand up, right? But that's the first year I did it, and
I didn't know Darren Frost was the judge that year.
He was, yeah, Frosty was.
I didn't, man. I was like,
because that year they used to have. That's the first time I met Sagan. That's the first time I met Derek Sagan, and you had Derek on your show
Derek,
a few weeks back, and Derek's great. And the first time that year, that was the year that Colin won, Colin Hollis, and. It was the first time, probably the first, or you could say the third time, because the way the contest was, like, you advanced and you probably performed 3 times. So Colin done it, like, literally a handful of times, and he won, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first time doing stand-up. And I remember talking to Derek at that contest, right? And he was the judge. I think he was the judge on the night of the finals, and he was great. Derek was very supportive, nice guy. Yeah, and then the year after that, I did the workshop again, but did it with Trent McClellan.
great guy.
Yeah, Trent is an awesome guy.
Fine, man. Like so many comics have come gone. Like when I did that night, I was in the back when we had a green room.
The green room, yeah. Yucks had a green room.
Now we're in the audience like animals.
And well, so you're calling the audience animals. Now we're in the audience like animals with the animals that are here to see us.
Like we're in a fucking zoo.
Monkeys.
I
dance on the stage and throw our poo. There you go.
I was. Who was there that night? It was. I remember I befriended, I think, or maybe just talking because I was just so young. But James McLeod.
Oh, James, yeah.
James.
Telegram James.
Yeah. He was there. He stopped. He was there doing stand-up. And Rebecca Lash, who, I don't know what the hell happened to her.
I think Rebecca's in Toronto.
That's what I heard. She's in Toronto. Yeah.
Cindy's up there. Well, that's the thing. Like those ones I first referred to were the ones that were like almost like in my mind. I refer to us as the victory players because like there was the core set of us that were doing stand-up consistently, like every other night. Like Sean was there every week doing stand up, and but then like a snowball, like more and more like Burton. That first year, Burton started coming on, Sean Burton, and then of course like the first year of the contest, I met Lisa Baker. Lisa's up, she's doing stand up and everything now up in Alberta. Very funny, and I remember it was the first time I met Lisa, and I mean Jesus, she walked around stage like she owned it, like she was a powerhouse. First time I seen her, and I think she might have been doing stand up for a year or two before that.
She was when I did a Great Canadian Laugh Off my first time. I had to be in the top 3 and then leave.
She was there that night.
Lisa,
yes.
It was Lisa. The order was the first 3 was Lisa, John Sheehan, and then me, and then I went on after 2 of those guys.
Yeah, like going on after the Beatles.
And oh my God, I got heckled my first time. Like I got heckled that night. Some old guy in the first seat right by the stage heckled me.
That was Burton Cummings. That's the guy that Bill called Burton Cummings.
Was it?
He looked just like Burton Cummings.
The guy right in front?
Yeah, he had like a mustache and a ball cap on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I took his hat. I took his hat.
I can remember that. I was like, you're a brave little dude. right?
I took his hand and I said, I remember saying to his wife, I was like, oh, you got a nice smile. Are those your real teeth? I got a...
Yeah.
That was horrible. I got off, I forgot punchlines. Oh my Jesus. And I got off and then Bill was like, gotta go. But John stopped me on the way out, and John gave me his card at the time and said if I ever need any advice or anything, just to email him. He's like, John was really nice when I first met him.
Yeah.
He still is. I mean, it's not like he changed.
Yeah.
But like when this was the first time he gave me his card.
John's always been very supportive, of myself.
When did he start?
When I met John, I seen John, like I said, he was there that first year I did the festival. And then the following year in the Laugh Off, the Great Canadian Laugh Off, the first one they had there, I think at the time John had told me he was at it probably, is it around, let's say 2 years, like 2 or 3 years maybe, that he was doing it then. He was I think he might have had 2 years under his belt.
I did in 2008?
Yeah, or was it? I don't think it was 5. Something's telling me John was only at it for about 2 years or so. I could be wrong, right? But he was fairly fresh into it.
He's been for a long time.
He was more experienced than me. I remember he was doing it longer than me.
Yeah.
Right, and it was like all those guys, and then like every year subsequent to that, you had more and more people come on the scene. Especially like I used to run the room up the Yucks
Pro-Am.
The Pro-Am.
Yeah.
And we used to, they kind of rejigged the format a bunch of times, but, work with the comics, and that's something I always enjoyed doing was, stand up and watching everybody grow, and, the thing I'm always apprehensive about is, who am I to give a voice to someone? The way I always look at it is, I'm stood up, and especially I find I get more so inspired when I'm watching someone live doing a stand-up, and you're just constantly coming up with, tags or or callbacks to the jokes, and you go over and say, you try this or do that, and it's not so much you have to do this. It's do you ever think of this or that?
Yeah.
Someone will say that to me sometimes with some of the jokes I've done, and I've never thought of that perspective before, right? I remember one of the comics I met, and one of the guys got the same piece of advice. He said to me once, take what applies to you and disregard the rest. You should be able to know.
But you need
someone
what you
comes
don't.
up to you and says, that joke you do, it'd be really funny if, you did this, and you go, oh, okay, thanks, man, and you kind of think back and go, well, it doesn't marry into my style, or kind of sticks out, or wouldn't really apply here. But sometimes someone will tell you something like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. Someone will give you a call back, and you're like, I never thought of it in that way before, and it might put a whole new spin on your joke, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's that first year that was Al. The second year we did the workshop. Trent McClellan did it. Trent it was cool because the first year he had the perspective of someone who was seasoned in the industry, and then when Trent did it, I'm not sure how long he was doing it, but it was at least probably 3 or 4 years that I know of that he had under his belt, which is still. It's still new, but it's still enough too, right? So it was a really good freshman view, and he had he still loves. You talk to Trent every now and then, you listen to his podcast, and he's always got real good pearls of wisdom there for you, right? And he's a great guy, very supportive, nice. Worked with him a few times since, and it's always fun. I look forward to it.
I seen Trent the first time. He I don't know if it was first time, but. I think it's probably when I first started. When I very first started, he opened for Jerry D at Arts and Culture.
That's the first time I saw him live. No, that's a lie. Yes, it is. It is the first time I saw him live. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, about 5-6 years ago. Yeah. I didn't know who he was, and then I remember seeing him after the show, and I went up and met Jerry, and I didn't meet Trent because I didn't know who he was, and afterwards, months down the road, I'm like, oh, I should have met that guy. That guy was cool.
That was the first time I saw. I'm getting 2 shows confused now. Was it Jerry or was it? Because Perry Pulmater was here. I think that was.
Yeah, he opened for Jerry the second time.
Jerry, he opened for Jerry the second time, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was the first time Trent opened for him because Yeah, that's right. Because I can remember my wife Ange. She actually, I mean, Trent knows everybody. Like if I remember last time when Trent played here, and I did the show with him, and we went out afterwards, and it was like, it's like walking up George Street with the mayor of St. John's. He knows a lot of people. He's obviously because he's such a nice guy. But that first time I saw him come out, I was like, you never know who the opening act's going to be when they come, right? And I remember a few years prior to that, and my wife and I were watching the Halifax Comedy Festival. That's when that was still kind of new on TV. And they had like a Rising Stars showcase, like showing clips of people playing different bars down in Halifax. And they had Trent, like they had a snippet of Trent doing one of his jokes. And up to that point, I remember Ange always just come on. She's like, "Oh, this guy I work with, he's so funny. He's Trent." And then we were watching TV, and I had seen him. I might have informally met him before, and then we were watching Halifax Comedy Fest. Like, oh my God, look, it's Trent. He's doing his Trent jokes, right? The
Croc Spit?
No, that wasn't a Croc Spit. He was. I think he actually did the what do they call black guys from Newfoundland, or Trent?
Yeah.
We call black people Newfoundland Trent.
Yeah.
One of his early bits that he used to do, right? But it was, and that's that gets relatable. Like you're watching, like, oh my God, I met him before, or my wife worked with him, and that kind of hits home with you too. You're like, well, like I guess if you want to give it a whirl, give it a try, right? Like
it's easy enough, especially like here locally. I mean, you can get in contact with the local comic so easy, to go, hey, how do I? Like after one Wednesday a couple weeks ago, a guy came to me and he said, how would I, if I ever want to try, how would I get involved? And I directed him right to Sarah.
Yeah,
talk to this girl.
Well, that's what used to be cool about it when I was running the room up there. You'd get contacted by people like, yeah, it's my first time trying, and don't know if I want to do it. And I just, everything I just told you about the first time I tried it, I try as much to relate that to them, to make them realize like how. To say it's simple, it's hard. I mean, it's terrifying to get up and do it. Like, just to make the decision alone that you want to go and do it, I think is courageous in and of itself. Whether you actually do go through it, like you go so far. It's like when you make any kind of major decision in your life, and it's like it's walking over the threshold of the door. It's like it's walking up onto the stage. It's like when you're like, oh shit, they call my name, I can't leave.
Have you ever had that? Have you ever had, because I know I have, where you have that, maybe it's a big night, or maybe you're just not feeling, because you can be in a shit mood, and then go, oh, I gotta do stand tonight. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, how do I try to switch gears? Have you ever had a night where it's like, you're at the club, and you're like, I've never backed out of anything, but, you're at there and like, I don't want to go up. I really don't want to, like, if they're going to say my name, I'm just going to run out. Like, I don't want to, tonight's not the night, I don't feel it.
I probably have more of those like feelings early on doing it, like where you get inundated with nerves. I don't know if I used that word right, inundated. I'm trying to think. I go back to Trent when I did that workshop with him, and he gave us a bunch of books to read. And one book was Comic Insights by Franklin and Joy. They call him like the jazz man of comedy. Mm-hmm. And he's taught comedy courses. He's worked with all kinds of he's I think he's actually Maya Rudolph's father.
Okay.
Maya Rudolph, that's the one she used to do Oprah and stuff, and she was in Bridesmaids. She was doing Oprah and SNL. Maya Rudolph.
Yeah.
She was in Bridesmaids.
Yeah.
She was the one that was getting married.
Yeah.
In Bridesmaids. Yeah. So it's her dad, right? And there's a thing in the book, and he was talking about the first time he did Carson. And he says he's backstage, and he's nervous. He's a bundle of nerves, and he sees Johnny stood up there, and Johnny Carson is fiddling with his cufflinks and his shirt cuffs or whatever, getting ready to go on stage. And he's doing his Johnny-isms, like he's shrugging his shoulders and fixing his suit and preparing himself mentally to go out. And he looks at him. He's like, "Wow." He said, "You nervous?" He said, "Yeah." And he said, "Really?" Like after 30, 20 years, however long at this point that he's been doing it. And he looked at me and said, "I'd be nervous if I wasn't nervous."
Yeah.
Right? And it boils, and I remember right up to that point, like I was saying earlier about like throwing up and getting sick before you're going on stage. Like right up to that point, I remember nerves would be almost debilitating. Like I would dread a show. Like I can remember early on first doing it and going out to dinner one evening with my parents. And we sat down. It was like a Sunday evening, and we're like down at the Hong Kong somewhere on George Street. And I just sat there the whole supper going, and finally Dad's like, what's wrong with you, right? And I'm like, I got to do a show tonight. And what the fuck are you doing it for? Like, if it makes you that miserable, I'm like, well, no, like, it's, it's, once I get up there, I'm fine, right?
Yeah.
But
it's not that makes you miserable. It's just like,
well, you're miserable. You're miserable leading into it because you're just so like, you care so much. It's part, like, especially early on when you're doing it. I find it's like you care enough about it. You don't want to go backstage and make an ass. Like it's like the whole failure thing of going up and like they're gonna laugh, but they're gonna laugh with you. They're gonna laugh like at you, like, oh, dude, get off, you stink, right? Yeah. Boo, right? Go home and change your diapers, you old fart, right? So like. Everything, like, mental Olympics are going through your head. So then when I read that, a little thing went off my head, and he elaborated, of course, more. And then you go back to Psych 1000. Psych 1001 is the whole fight or flight response. Yeah. Like, you're walking down a dark alley, you hear coming up behind you. Like, do you turn and run? Or do you turn and face them?
Trying to run towards them.
Turn and run. Hug them. Yeah. do you run away? Do you scream? Do you curl up? What do you do? What? So it's your adrenaline. It's like everything is coursing, and then it's almost sounds like Jedi, like become one with. But like you realize that in those situations you're given a heightened sense of awareness, and it actually equips you better to deal with the situation. Mm-hmm. So once I read that, I kind of clicked. I was like, yeah, wow. So I read it and I closed the book. I was like, yeah, that's true, but still I'm going to go throw my guts up before I go on stage. But eventually, I started to recognize a pattern of like, there was times, especially when the club first opened, and if you were doing a weekend, you had 5 shows. You had Thursday, 2 Friday, and 2 Saturday, right?
You cut that out now, hey? It's only one.
It's 3. Like, it's just Thursday, Friday, Saturday, one show. Unless it's like a concert series and they have like an extra show on a Saturday night. But even so, regardless of the number of shows, you'd go into a weekend and like one night you'd be going in there and you might be nervous and you go up there, you have a fantastic set or a great set, good set, moderate set, whatever. I don't like saying, oh, I had an awesome set, but you go up and you have a good set, and then you come down and then the next night, so your nerves are quashed, like you're like, okay, I'm good now, and then the next night I'd go up and I'd be like, can I say that didn't feel right. There's something about that didn't.
I think nerves help you.
Feel right to me, right? And I was like, well, what is it? And I sit back and you analyze it and you look at the tape, like you record yourself to see what did I do wrong, and you're like, yeah, I kind of dial it in. And then sometimes you'd find yourself almost like, holy shit, I'm reciting my material. Yeah. Well, like I remember Trent saying that to us with, and I keep saying Trent, the first person comes to my mind when I think of advice, but like other comics will tell you too, like you'll do a bit for so long sometimes, especially when it's fresh and you're really connected to the emotion behind the bit. And that really drives your performance or what you're doing. But then after a while, it comes mundane and you don't realize it comes mundane. It's almost like someone throughout the course of a day, so tell me what happened again. Oh, fuck, the guy come out of nowhere, he sideswiped the car, I don't want to fucking tell the story no more. Yeah. So that's when you go, okay, I'm going to lay it up here on the shelf for a while, come back to it later and pull it out in an ad lib, sometimes unexpectedly to see. I've done that where I've had bits I haven't done for a long time, and all of a sudden you pull them out, and you're like, well, let's drive this for a little bit and see if it's still fresh or can it still pull it off. Or you might like, oh, I'm so pissed off, or this, and I'm do this bit about that, or I'm so excited about this bit. Wow, that's almost like the time I did this one. I'm going to try and do it because I got the same emotion connected to it. And the thing with the nerves was like I was saying, you one night you're good, and then you go on to your next show, your nerves were gone down. So I started to recognize the pattern of like, wow, when I'm not nervous, I wasn't as good. Yeah. So like now I'm nervous when I'm not nervous. Right? If that makes sense. It's like I really want to have that heightened sense of awareness when I'm going on stage. And what it boils down to now, what I realize is why I get it every time I'm going on stage. It's because I care about what I want to do when I'm on stage. I care enough that there's the little small bit of like, you don't want to look like an ass and not do well. Mm-hmm. But I really care about making these people laugh. Yeah. And that was always the biggest driver with me, is just getting on stage and making people laugh. Like I did a show last summer, and I remember it was one of these nights, like you were saying about, you ever feel like you don't want to go on stage? And I was going to the show, and I was like, this was going on at home, and I got to paint, and we're in the middle, and boxes are everywhere, in the middle of going to a new house, and the kids are getting on my nerves when I left because they're fighting with each other, and Angel's tired, and I got to do this show and get home, and there's a million and one. And sometimes the funny thing is, I find, not that I'm not prepared, but like when I'm walking into a room like that, because I remember Bill McIntosh, he gave me a story once of when he found out, I believe it was his father or a family member was ill right before he had to go on stage. And he told me, he said, like, buddy, he said, like, you could have a head cold, pump yourself full of Robitussin, he said, or something like that's going on. It's almost like the exact opposite of, like, when you leave your day job and go home and you hang your worries on the worry tree and don't bring them in the home with you, right? Likewise, don't bring your shit to work, as hard as it is, right? You just got to walk into that door and go, you know, like, here's my stuff, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes I found, like, you go on stage and, like, I've literally walked into the club where I'm, like, walking in the club and they're, like, just about to announce me. I go in, like, hey, everybody, it's great to be here. And boom, and I have a great experience because I haven't had time to fixate and focus on it. I'm just kind of walking into that and just letting everything out. Like, I'm having that melt of, like, here's, like,
everything.
The past 3 fucking hours of what it took for me to get here. Likewise with the nerves, right? Like, you want them nerves to elevate you and bring you up, and so much as you want a connection to a joke, you still want to feel that bit of passion joke. So I think the nerves are important. Like, to me, that's why I say, like, I'm nervous if I'm not nervous, because I want to be able to care enough. Like, no, I went on another tangent. Like, whoever's going to listen to this, say, holy shit, what's the guy doing? He's got a cold. He's jacked up on coffee and Benadryl. But what I was going to say was, last year I had one of these cases, went to the club, and, like, you were asking me, like, you ever had cases where you don't feel like you want to go on stage? Yeah. And it was kind of like that. And I went up and I had that good night, and it was a really good night. It's one of those nights you walk down like, wow, like, I put it out there. Everyone loved it. Everyone's happy. I'm happy. I'm going to go home and I'm going to sleep for 4 hours. I need a big bag of chips and chocolate milk and a cup of tea. Be up to 4 o'clock in the morning going, because you get this.
You're high.
You know, like, you often hear people talking about substance abuse, or they're going and having drinks or something like this. With me, it's food. Like, I leave and I just want to go get like a hamburger, or probably because, like, if I have eaten, I've probably thrown it up because of nerves, or I won't eat before a show because I don't want to be gassed up and, like, belchy, and, like, you'll get off stage and the kitchen's still open. Okay, I want nachos. You're throwing nachos in your face like Cookie Monster, right? But this lady come up after the show. I know a lot of comedians will tell you the same type of story. I know Trent has related stories to me. She came out that night and she said, you know, I'm home. I've been back and forth for a few weeks. I'm home from Ottawa, I believe. And she said, I think her father or their brother or someone really close to him had just passed away and gone through a lengthy battle with cancer. And she was saying how she often went to stand-up clubs, I believe up in Ottawa, the Yuck Yucks or whatever. And she said, you know, I was convincing everybody. I said, no, I went out and I bought the tickets. We all, you know, paid for everybody to come out and have shows. She said, I'm really glad we came. We had such a good time. Thank you so much for making me laugh. And that's when it hit you. Like, look, I'm getting goosies. I'm getting the J-Lo American Idol goosebumps. That's when, to me, that's when it really hits me. Like, I go, like, that's why you're doing it. And that's, like, as corny as it sounds, like, I'm sorry, but, like, I'm just one of these guys that, like, I want to go up on stage. I just want to make people laugh. Because once they're laughing, they're having fun. It's not contrived. It's not forced. It's not me trying to milk laughs and laugh at my own jokes. It makes me laugh more. It makes me happy.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It gives you that jacked up satisfaction. Like, wow, this is fun. Like, I mean, you know, I'll have lulls where I don't do sets for a couple of weeks. Right, because everything. I'm balancing a day job. I'm balancing a family. I'm balancing life.
Yeah,
and this, trying to bring it up as much of a level as I can bring it. Right, and you know, I went right off on my own tangent. I don't know where I was going with that, but, like, what the fuck? What happened there? Brain fart. Now I'm staring at the microphone. It's making faces at me. was talking about why you do it. Like you get those reminders from people. Where the hell was I going, Gary? What was I saying? What kind of tangent was I on there?
They said you're a nice guy. You like it. Then you get goosebumps.
Well, no, that's it. Like it makes you happy.
Maybe that was it. Maybe we were done.
I'm spent.
Have you? What's the worst? What's the worst
This
time?
is going to be the most disjointed podcast. Is it disjointed? Am I going like? I'm not used to sitting down and talking.
No, it's fine. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. What's the worst time you bombed on
You're
stage?
like Oprah.
Yeah, it's like you'd cry.
I can look under my chair. Is there free shit in here? Yeah. No, it's only industrial ply carpet from Munn.
Only the best.
Only the best. What'd you say? What did I ever what?
What's the worst time you've bombed? Because we've all had sets where you want to, kill a village.
Oh, I remember my tangent.
Okay, we'll come back to it.
No, I've had lulls. I've because of all the crap that you try and juggle in your crazy life.
Yeah.
And you'll have stints of like I'll be going back to the club, and you're almost back 6 years ago, where you're going back and going, oh man, I haven't done this I haven't been on stage in 3 weeks. I haven't been able to do the open mics tonight or whatever. Mm-hmm. First show I've got weeks like it's gonna be okay. Who am I fooling? Well, now I'm 40. Now I got another kid.
Yeah.
I got a 7-year-old and 3-year-old. I could be home reading them stories. I'm going to the club. I mean, like, I'm not funny. Who am I kidding? I'm not funny. Even though I probably had a good week 3 weeks ago, I get in that mindset, and you're going, and like, it's just.
I've thought that so many times before the show. I'm not going to laugh at myself.
But this is the thing, right? But then you get in there, you convince yourself, but I don't know if it's some kind of subconscious exercise I'm doing to work my nerves back up. Maybe that's what it is. But I get back in there, and then I have the show, and then you get that hit of like, oh yeah.
I'm good. Yeah.
I'm right. No, not that I'm good. It's just like, yeah, it's not like, oh yeah, I'm good. I can still rock this. No, it's
I'm the shit. Yeah.
It's more a, oh okay, yeah, no, it's fine. I can do it.
Make you still do it.
I can make people laugh. Yeah. Most importantly, I feel better. It's like therapy, right?
Yeah.
I remember talking to I won't name names, but did a weekend. It was a pretty prominent guy that I done a weekend with. He was a great comic. And after a couple of shows, I remember him telling me, him saying like the most comfortable.
Local?
No, from away. But he said
Louis C.K.?
the most. Fuck, I wish Louis C.K. But he said like the most comfortable I am. I'm more so comfortable once I get up there on stage than I am down here talking to people. And it's funny because you start to realize that more. Not that I'm uncomfortable talking to people, but like you get that comfort.
Yeah.
You're home. Like once you do get up, you're like, okay, I'm happy now. Skiddly doo. I'm in my element, and I can talk to you, and it's all good, and you're laughing, so I'm happy. I'm making you guys happy. That's what I'm gonna do. So I concluded my tangent.
Tapers off to nothing. What's the worst time you ever bombed?
Yeah, bombed. I never bombed. No.
I'm perfect.
First time I bombed.
No, worst time.
Oh, the worst.
The worst.
I mean, like bombing can be like completely bombed, or bombing can be like, you're doing, oh, these 5 minutes were fantastic, and what you have to go and fucking say that for? And you completely lose the crowd, or you feel like you lose the crowd. Well, then you got to meander back up.
You got to come back up, yeah.
Pull it back up. Sometimes like when you're trying new bits, like
Okay, what's the worst time you what's the worst time you bombed in the sense that the crowd just wasn't feeling you? Like anything you'd say, just nothing, just nothing sticking here. There's
been nights where like, and it's so weird because there's been nights where like you bomb in the sense that you're just not happy with it. I remember one of the first times I bombed, and I remember talking to Mary, who used to be at the club, Bill's wife, Bill Mack's wife. And her relating a story one time when Bill was early on doing it, and he got off the stage, and he was frustrated, and she was like, no, they're listening. They weren't laughing, but they were listening, which is also important, right? And I've had occurrences of that where, like, you'd be up on stage, like, oh my God, this is like, this 10-minute joke is going over in like 2 minutes because your people aren't laughing. And well, I mean, it's so like, I mean, you can have a different audience. You can, Like I do that Newfoundland romance novel bit, and I did a corporate Christmas time, and like there was one girl who was like hilariously laughing at the joke, but no one else was. But it's like a 5-minute bit. I mean, sometimes it's almost like 7.5, 8 minutes, 10 minutes long, depending if you're getting applause breaks and people laughing. And I remember I was like in the first paragraph, I was like, wow, you guys aren't digging this at all. And I thought they would because it was more of a Newfoundland.
Do you address it?
No, like, not really. Like, if it's a little short bit, like sometimes you can get away with stuff like, oh, wow, that didn't go the way it went in dress rehearsal. Make a little joke like that and just walk off it. I've gotten into bits to the death, depending on what the bit is. If it's a short and sweet thing, like if it's like a little 2-minute joke, you just kind of like I talk. I know it's really cold. Like my vasectomy bit, the story I tell about when I got my vasectomy.
Yeah.
The good thing about that joke is I can either start the joke off and say, do my little intro of, I don't like shoveling, so I went out and I got myself a vasectomy, right? And I know the minute I say vasectomy, you can almost read from the crowd, do you guys want to hear the other potential 7.5 to 12 minutes of this or not? Mm-hmm. And if they don't buy it, you can walk out of it and laugh and you can, okay, I'll do my little half attempt at the punchline and I'll go this way with you guys.
So if you're doing say your novel bit,
really bombing, like I do remember say like early on, like say in the victory days, like going up some week and you're doing your set and it's just like, and then you just lose that momentum, but you're still early and you're still fresh doing it, and see then you can like
and bombed in recent years.
Honestly, like I don't want to say I haven't bombed, but like I can't think of honestly. How
about I'll tell you mine?
In recent years, I can't think of a complete set where I walked out of there and it was like I never want to do this.
I'll tell you one. I'll tell you one, buddy. Here's mine.
I've had early bombs. Not to cut you off, but I mean,
mine's that
I've had early bombs where like in those early open mic days, and not so much bombing. You just back out and you're like, oh, I'm just not happy with that.
Oh no, listen, I'll tell you a bomb story. This happened to me.
And if anyone remembers me bombing, and I'm not admitting to it,
email.
I'm not saying that I've never bombed before, but it's just I can't pull it out like a complete 20 minutes
story. Yeah.
I'm going to crawl under a rock and never come out again.
Well, here's mine. I did this. What was this? A couple months ago. Sean was doing this. He put together a show. Sean Burton put together a show for the Breezeway, which is the bar here on campus where we're recording this. And it was for, you right?
No, you just reminded me when you when you did that, when you said Breezeway and bombing, it reminded me of last year when I had to do the pop-up set for the Comedy Fest, and it was like doing stand-up lunchtime, or like say 1 o'clock in the afternoon down in Atlantic Place.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's bombing, I just stand up reciting my jokes. No one's really listening to you, it's poor acoustics.
Yeah,
but that is similar to that situation you're saying. Like you're in a different setup than a traditional stand-up setup, right?
Yeah,
I'm doing it in like the food court of Atlantic Place, and like the sheriff's officer is over here, and she's down here from court probably on a lunch break, and that guy looks like he hasn't bathed in 3 weeks, and like it's like no one's listening to you, and I just kind of like.
Just get out. Yeah.
But they only wanted you to do 3 minutes. I did about 3 or 4 minutes of jokes. People were politely clapped, but I remember standing there going like, no one hears me or cares that I'm here.
Yeah.
They just want to get their Starbucks.
Well, this was this was actually set up as a show. So it was a couple of students show for it was for the other pub Bitters. It was for their employee party, whatever, whatever staff party. And so, but Bitters closed down to time for renovation or something a couple months ago, and so they had it at the Breezeway. Anyway, so Sean asked me, did I want a spot? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I got paid in food, before the thing, which was good, delicious Indian food. And so we, right away, though, as soon as I walked in, right away in my mind, this is not going to go well. They left the lights on. The PA system was shit. And so with the lights are on, you're on stage, and you can just see groups of people just doing whatever they want. Like, there's a group of people here talking, there's a group of people over here eating. this group in the back drinking, laughing away. Just everyone scattered, like it wasn't an audience.
Yeah.
And anyway, so luckily I wasn't the first one on, but the comics who went on before me, I was like, they're having a tough time. I'm like, oh my God, they're having a tough time. This is a fucking rough room. I'm going to get up there. I'm going to see what happens. So I got up there, and the set that I did the week before at Yucks, and it worked really well. Like, I was like, this is a good set.
Yeah.
And then I got up this night, and I got about 3 minutes in. Not even 3 minutes. I give myself leeway here. Put in 2 minutes in. Nothing. I'm like, oh my God. Nothing is working right now.
Yeah.
And so, like, I would say something like one of my bits was like, I was saying, like, I open it with, would you find nice girls, nice women? And there's this woman in the audience, and, like, I could see them. You could see everyone. And she just looked up at me. She went, in church. And I went, what the fuck? What did I say back there? Dude, Steve, at one point I was like, there's a guy in front with a beard. And I was like, this guy has a beard over here. Like, it was horrible. I said something else, and there was this guy in front. He had his arms crossed.
How's it going, Beardy McBeardington?
he has arms crossed. And
Beardo.
He shook his head. I said something. It wasn't that. It was something different. He has arms crossed, and after I said it, he shook his head. Like, kind of like, like he was saying no. And I seen him right in front, and I was like, buddy, you all right? And he was like, he shook his head again. He was his arms crossed. He was like, this just wasn't good. That was just, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I caught I did about half my set.
Oh my God.
And got off, like, just, no one was laughing. I got off. And one of the comics said, he was like, it's kind of good you got off because I was going to cut your time. You were starting to eat it up there. And I was like, yeah, I felt it, so I got the fuck off. I just laughed. I called about 10 of my friends, none of which picked up. Sorry for listening. Thanks for being there, you assholes. But, like, I couldn't, no one laughed, Steve. It was the most embarrassing, a couple months ago.
I mean, and the thing is, I've, you think back in your head, I have had sets where, like you said, like, it's like that. It's kind of like,
yeah.
Like, I remember one time,
now you open it up because I told my tragic story.
Well, no, I remember we did a. But see, what it is it just kind of jigs your memory. Like when you said about, like when you related the fact of, okay, well, I did this the previous week at Yucks.
Yeah.
And see, some of this too comes with the level of experience you gain performing in different social situations or different venues. And the longer you do it, and the more material you're getting. Like, I remember David Murray was at the club one time. He's a comedian, magician, exact, and a great guy. And what he had said was, in order to make yourself more versatile, you got to immerse yourself in as many different situations as possible. Make yourself uncomfortable as much as you can, right? Because it trains you to react in those situations. Like, I can remember one of the first times. I don't know if it was the first time I did the Victory, and I had it was after we did the first open mic at the festival. Went down, got my spot. I had to do 7 minutes, right? And I was like, oh, no, it was 4 minutes. I was like, oh, what are we going to talk about for 4 minutes? And I was also in the mode I didn't understand. Like, I thought I had to write a brand new 4 minutes every week. And like finally, George Price said to me, George, like, no, Stevie, he said, like, you got to hone these jokes, right? Like, and you learn the different techniques of like the shit sandwich, where you start with something good, end with something good. You balance your new stuff in the middle, right? But I can remember going down one week, and I don't know, it was the first time I went there, and I did my set. I said, oh, that went pretty good. I'm happy, right? Some people laughed. That was favorable, right? For the second time. That was modest, but, in your mind, you're probably thinking, oh, that was fantastic. People laugh. And then you go down, like, the week after, and it's like, oh, but last week, you laughed at my cheeseburger joke at A&W, and this week you guys didn't like it. You don't realize that every audience. I remember Bill Mack saying this to me, like, every audience is a different audience. Like it's like, the analogy of like a musician, right? Like, every night it's a different town, it's a different crowd. It sounds like like a Bob Seger song or whatever. But it's true. Like, even if you're playing in St. John's every single week it's a different crowd. Yeah. Plus, what plays into it is like, I remember doing like the Victory or down at the Levee when we used to have a weekly show down at the Levee, and you forget like, oh, there's 12 comics in the room, the same 12 comics you see every single week, They're your buddies. You know, you've developed a rapport with them, and they're friends. And oh yeah, by the way, most of their friends are there every week. So of the 20 people that are there in the room, 80% of them are hearing the exact same jokes every single week. Yeah. They're not going to laugh at them, so that plays with your mind. Plus, the early inexperienced part of it is like, this killed last week. This was great. I had a good response this week. No, because you don't realize your brain's not ready to adapt to like, no, every week is going to be different. There's not going to be the exact same reaction. You might get a 2-minute, not 2 minute, but you might get a 15-second. You know, applause break and a laugh, long enough to take a sip of a drink, and next week might be like, ha!
Yeah.
Next joke, please. Or you'll get a crowd of stoned people, or people who are tired, or people who are like, well, you know, it's Friday. What time is it, honey? It's 8. Okay, so we just got home, got the kids. The kids are in bed. Okay, you picked something out. Okay, we're in the car. We're here with Yuck Yucks. Where's Tracy and Ted too? They're not here yet? Okay. They'll be here soon. We're going to wait for our friends. Nachos? Is that all you got? It's nachos. I'm kind of hungry. It's a long day. What about a burger? You want to get a burger? So all that, you're competing with all that shit, right? And you don't, but you don't think about that stuff. So like, you know, you're in the breezeway in that type of situation. Like the lights are bad, and you get used to that. Like I did a show once, and they booked me, and it was in a little pub. And I don't want to say where it was to. It was in a little pub because.
Fucking said.
No, because
I listen to
I don't want to offend anyone. But like,
is it in town?
No, it was in town. But like, and it's almost like you hear like sports analogies sometimes of like, oh, geez, the Leafs always lose when they play in Philadelphia or something. I don't know. I'm not a sports fan, right? But you know, like they never win here. That type of stuff plays in. And I had a similar type of thing with this venue, right? Where it's like, I've done 2 shows here. It was the first corporate I've done. And it didn't go well, even though when I did it with Bill Mack, he said to me after the show, he said, congratulations, you just sucked for $300. Right? You know, don't suck it up. It's an experience. Move on to the next one, right? And then when I came back the second time, when they had booked me, it was a similar type of experience. Like, you know, there's going to be about 80 people there. I got there was like 15. They had like a little PV amp type of thing. It was all squelchy, like... You could hardly hear when you're talking, and little mic, and it just got to the point I just put the mic down, and the lighting was bad, and it was so that wasn't bombing, but it was bombing, because I just wasn't happy with it, because I wasn't getting, like, it ended up, I remember when I was putting the mic down, and there's one guy who was, like, belligerent but lovable and drunk, right, who was there, and I just ended up more or less riffing back and forth with him, but it was funny. Like, it was a departure from my material, but they were happy enough with it.
Yeah.
But it's a different... And, like, I remember then when I finally had that first good show there, I had another booking. It's like, I had a really... Ever since then, I've had really good shows. But up to then, every time I'd play that venue, I was like, oh, I was bombed there. Because your brain associates... It's like the whole Pavlov's dog thing. You know, you drool every time the bell comes on, right? And so, you know, like, a lot of that stuff, to me, comes with experience. It comes with, you know, you walk in there and you got to try and go, well, yeah, the lights are bad, but it's a lot of that stuff you got to kind of look at sometimes and go, that's beyond my control. Now, I mean, when it comes down to you're in a room with shit acoustics and you know it's going to be bad. Like, I mean, I did a corporate once and I was basically stood up at the end of a dinner table. Like, there was 20 people there, 10 on either side of a banquet table. They just finished their lunch. You know, Lisa got up, Lisa Baker. Lisa did her 40 minutes, half hour, whatever, and left. Then I got up and done mine. But it was a good show. But, like, leading up to it, I was looking and going, oh, my goodness, like, there's no microphone? I'm just going to come up and I'm going to plunk my beer on the end of the table. I'm going to talk to him like it's a family supper. Like, but it turned out to be a good show because you kind of walk out of that shit and go, well, like, the lighting shit. I don't like to see people because usually when you're on stage, the lights are there and it's a nice intimate environment. But sometimes a lot of those environmental factors, you can realize they're not really going to affect the show so much as you think they're going to.
Yeah, it's getting
you learn to get it out of your head though, right? Yeah. But then if you're fixated on it too much, I can remember one time Tom Obama doing we were doing a show at the Rose and Thistle, and it was early on. and just a smattering of people, there a handful of people. It wasn't too bad, but then I just started fixating. There was this missus in the back playing the swinging bells, playing video lotto, and I just fixated on that. It's like I lost my act, and I didn't have the good response on that. It wasn't, you're not going to have an awesome set with 20 people in the Rose and Thistle, but like, we're half of them are your comics, right, and your friends. But I can remember I wasn't happy with my set, and afterwards I wasn't happy because I realized I basically spent my set focusing on a chick who was losing all her money on swinging bells, and wasn't why aren't you listening to me? Why are you texting?
Yeah.
Get off your phone. Forget about her phone, or say something to me. Like I'm not great at doing the complete nasty
heckle response.
Heckle, I kind of pussyfoot around it and can get them to stop doing what they're doing, right? You know what I mean? Like one of the first time I headlined at Yoks, and it was me and Paul Warford, and Bobby Keel, and Bobby Keel was emceeing, and Bobby Keel has been doing stand up forever, right? And when we went in there, it was like, it's funny because you listen to him and he's telling you, like, you get the voice, right, and you get the, right, like the narrative voice. And because what had happened, we were going into the club, and we're walking in, I picked him up at the house, and we're going in, and I'm like, okay, there's a school bus out in front of the club with bottles on the line. Oh, this is like the setup to a bad movie or something. Yeah. Something shitty is going down. And you can just sense the more people you're passing going in the club, like, oh, it's not a good scene. You go in there, and there was a big, like, bachelor party up at the front of the stage. There was, after the side, there was a corporate show there, like a corporate booking. And this was like 4 years ago, right? This was like me doing stand-up 2 years. They gave me, we're going to get you the headline a weekend now before you go into your Nova Scotia tour, right? So we're through the club and some shows down there. So we want to feel you out for a headliner, right? So I go down there. There's a corporate party down there. There's a bachelor party here. There's some kind of stagette here, right? Up in the up in the back, there's a stagette.
Dick bags.
Right, dick bags. There's a dick bag in the back. A stagette, and there's a birthday party on this side. I think there was like 2 birthday parties.
Just all events.
Just like it was just a night, a culmination of things, right? There was fucking food up on the stage, like plates, like people were laying their plates on the stage, like while they're eating and switching out. And I was sitting in the back, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get Saturday night, and oh, Jesus, right? And I can remember Bob got up and he did his MC bit, and Warford came up, and he had a hard time because people were just so loud and belligerent, and they weren't being shut down properly. They weren't being quelled by other factors in the club, right? And so they were just getting more and more boisterous, right? The point where I remember Paul was like, "This is all right, fine, right?" Like he just finished his set, done what he had to do, got off, and Keel came up and he completely ripped the club apart. Like he didn't rip apart, but like not the club, but the audience. Like he shamed them. I've been traveling all over the world, and I've been doing comedy for like 30 years. And you go anywhere in the world, and Newfoundlanders are the nicest people in the world. They're the most polite. And, this young man gets on stage, and you're completely disrespectful. And I got another guy coming up here. It's his first time headlining. And by the time I go on stage, people were almost,
scared.
Well, it's like they're writing novenas, right? Like they're doing like 8 Hail Marys and right, a couple of Our Fathers. Like they felt bad. Like you could tell they genuinely felt bad. And I got up on stage, and 25 minutes in, like you just started to kind of
come back up.
Yeah, you started to bubble over again, right? And the frustrating thing about it, and the funny thing was, one of the most boisterous groups on the front, they actually turned out to be the most controlled group by the end of the night. But I'm here and I'm looking after the side of the stage, and I could just see the looks of pain on this party. I knew it was a corporate party. I'm thinking like, man, you have to spend all this money on dinner, and you got these assholes. Sorry, Yeah, people over here are ruining the show, right? That's the thing that bothers me. Like, it'll bother any comic. It's like, you know, there's people there, and it's like, okay, no, you're not helping. You're ruining the show. Like, these people pay money to see a show, and you're
ruining this experience.
You're ruining the experience for them. You're being rude. It's just bottom right rude, right? And I was trying to do the bit, and I was going through one of my bits, and I got to the point. It was the first time on stage. I got to the point, and I could hear something over here, and I was just trying to say, shut the fuck up, right? Really, just stop. Okay, it's time to stop. Just stop it, right?
Yeah.
And then I started hearing words coming back at me, right? And I was trying to shut it down. It's like, no, that's it. Like, you know, these people, I just did that kind of rant I just did, right? Like, it's time to stop. People want to enjoy the show. You get your applause. Thank you for addressing the elephant in the room. You didn't try and soldier on. Like, you actually addressed the fact that, like, there's something going on here. Because it would be, to me, it would be completely false. And almost be like seeing, I would attribute it to, like, watching a magician doing a trick, and you can see the strings, and you can see what's going on. Like, if you don't address something, if someone drops a glass, if there's a moth flying around in your face in the light, and everyone sees it, and you don't address it, it becomes, like, to me, it becomes like an illusion that they're like, okay, well, what's going on? He's not with us because he doesn't see the moth. He didn't hear the glass.
Yeah.
Address it, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're gonna address it properly. And then what had happened was, like, the club management then have stepped in at this point, and that's what I was hearing. Like, they're actually kicking this group out. It was the stag started getting a fight, like a screaming match with the stagette or with the girls behind them up on the other side of the club. And then the guys were getting kicked out. They had the police called. And then the stag of guys went out and got into a fight with each other in the parking lot. And I can remember when we left, like, Bob, and afterwards we were talking about it, and Bob Keeley was just saying, like, oh, it was like the perfect storm. You're out in the middle of the ocean, and you're in your dory, right? He's trying to use Newfoundland. He's like, and you can just see the winds coming this way, and the waves are coming that way, and they're going to meet on all the elements. And, like, it's just like he's telling this, you know, this epic tale. Like, but that's what it was like. It was like all these factors happened all at once, and it wasn't a bomb, but it was just like, this is out of control.
Yeah.
Right? Soldier through it. Like, I kind of felt like I wore it as a badge for a while. I was like, wow, I had a really crazy, weird fucking show, right? And and like a war story.
I don't think I've ever seen the club kick anyone out. I mean, that being said, I haven't seen a really bad show.
I've seen a combination, not so much. I don't know, like, other than that, it's more so like where the customer and the club come to a consensus of, like, okay, well, I'll leave. I saw two old ladies they didn't get kicked out. They said they got kicked out, but and what was happening was they were
making tea.
No, they
were too loud. I can't have fucking jokes.
They were loudly talking, like they were like, you know, like
couldn't hear each other. Where Gladys? Where's
my polydent? I think I pissed myself. I don't know what that has to do with pissing yourself, but I need my teeth because I like to have my teeth in when I urinate.
When I piss myself.
But I can remember they were sat there, but they're being rude. They're talking loud, and like to me, it was like they were laughing sarcastically.
Yeah.
They weren't into it, bringing right? Like female Stadler and Waldorf up in the back of the of the club. And a few times, like, and I remember this was early on in the days, and Bill was always very professional about trying to address it. He came up and he, you know, hands together, class, and ladies, I was, okay, just keep it down a bit, just a little, like, you know, just a little bit. Don't be too loud. Don't, you know, so loud people. Okay, cool. And then by the end of it, you can see he was finally, okay, you're gonna. I could just imagine you're going to have to leave if it doesn't stop, right? And like, what do you mean I'm laughing too loud? Right? Excuse me. Peter White was on stage. Excuse me, honey, we're from Labrador. What that had to do with anything, I don't know. I guess she wanted to address the fact that they're
Labrador.
No, that they were from out of town and they're just trying to have a good time.
Yeah,
you know, I'm all the way from Labrador, you know, and we're being asked to leave because we're laughing too loud. Can you imagine that? He wants us to leave because we're laughing too loud. And they left, right? they left, but it was like I could tell Peter was like, okay.
See you later.
They're from Labrador, everybody, and they laugh loud. I don't know, but let's just continue on. And it just continued on. The show went on, but it was like It was like, yeah, I've seen 2 old ladies voluntarily get kicked out, and but she was being, I was sat by them, and I mean, I was only a year into stand up, and just as an audience member, I was getting annoyed. I was like, holy fuck, miss! I was like, be quiet, you're being rude, right?
Yeah.
And if you're there and that doesn't get addressed, or you don't see that being addressed as an audience member, either from the performer or from
someone else,
the club management or staff, like as an audience person, it's kind of, oh, that's rude. Like, oh, you don't appreciate me much, or I'm having a good time. But
I think it was is that Sirius XM the competition which we'll talk about now, where I think it was that night where there's a table talking.
Yeah.
And another table was like, why don't you shut the fuck up? Like, just
was that you? Did you do that?
No, I didn't do that, but another table did that. A table heckled a table.
I've seen that. I've seen tables like telling. Well, like that night where I was performing and they had the guys versus the girls up there. But I didn't click in. Like, I knew that there was a bit of chatter going on because, like yourself, like I picked number 9 when I had to go on, so as much as you're trying to pay attention to the crowd and what they're responding to and how the night's going and how everybody's doing, you're still sat there, you're kind of in your head.
There was that guy in front that kept commenting.
And by the time I got up, right?
Yeah.
When I got up on stage, because I think, I'm trying to remember who went on before me, but I remember Ben at one point, whether it was right before me or maybe 2 people before me, where he kind of got up, because a couple times he alluded to it, but he got to the point where
he addressed it.
He's like, dude, right?
Yeah.
I think it was right before I went up, actually, because he was like, no, dude, like, you got to stop. Like, you're being rude, right? And he was like, well, I don't want to laugh now, right? And he was like, no, like he said,
because Erica had a hard time with him. I think it was after that.
But like when I got up on stage, and like you said, like you scan, you look at faces, you make eye connection with people, and when I looked at him, you could see he was sullen. He felt in that dejected state. He had his arms folded. His body language was like, oh, I'm going to sit here now and pout because I just got spoke to by the principal, and I'm going to put a face on.
Yeah.
But luckily, like, fortunately, he
shut up.
Well, no, fortunately, like, I probably, like, when you get that first laugh of your set, like, I remember after that, I looked at him, and he's like, oh, he's cracking, right? And it kind of had, like, a sideways smirk. Next thing you know, his arms were down on the table, and that made me feel comfortable. Like, it's funny because that energy goes 2 ways. Like, if you're not comfortable on the stage, like energy, like, body language, I mean, like, the energy is contagious, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm up there and I'm just projecting something bad or just bad vibes, you're going to get it off me, right? You're going to feel it, or you're going to be defensive to it. And I remember a few laughs in, I looked down and he loosened up. I was like, oh, thanks, dude, because now I'm a little bit loose. Even though I was like trying not to pay attention to it, I was just like, okay, I only got 5 minutes to crack out some jokes, right? Because we don't get very long in those contests, right?
Yeah.
Then you go from like 6 years ago, like 5 minutes. Oh, God, what am I going to talk about for 5 minutes? And then you go to like 6 years later, like 5 minutes. That's my setup.
Yeah.
For this one joke.
Yeah.
And even though it's got, there's jokey joke in the joke, there's laughs in the joke, but like it only feels like you're doing one joke.
Yeah.
Depending on your style, if you're one-liner versus
stories,
anecdotal stories and whatever. But yeah, like he totally calmed right down. But yeah, I can remember standing there and it's like, whoa, really? People are heckling during a contest?
Yeah.
And I'm glad Ben did that. Ben Monner, he made a great point to saying, like, all right, folks, like, these guys are getting up. It's a contest. They've only got 5 minutes. They got shit prepared. As much as on any normal night, you're going to interact with the audience. They just want to get up. They want to get their time in. And if you're going to take away from them by being rude and interrupting, you're going to throw their sets off. They're not going to get to do all their material. It's not fair. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad he...
And luckily, you over here, sir, Mr. Steve Coombs, was one of the lucky 3 to move on.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah, the dick you suck to get that, I tell you.
What? And I don't do that easily.
That's Tommy from what you want to talk about that. You want to talk about whenever that's, if you know when it's going to be posted or...
I believe it's on July 9th. One thing I do got to say about that night, man, like that was, I've been through a lot of experiences at the club where they've ran contests and you get up and you perform with your peers and you have a great time. I got to say, the past year and so has been busy for me, and I haven't been at the club as much as I used to be. Like when I was running the Pro-Am nights, you're there almost every single week and you're steadily seeing. It's like when you don't see a friend after a while, you're like, oh wow, you lost 10 pounds, or your hair's long, or
your tits.
Now you got 20 pounds on you, right?
Yeah.
But what was so cool is some of the comics I hadn't seen perform in a while, right? And man, I'm telling you that night of that contest, and you're there and you're watching everybody, and you're like, wow, boom, everybody brought their A game. Mm-hmm. It was it was a great, to me, contest or no contest. It was a great showcase of the amount of talent that's getting produced in this town, stand-up boys, compared to, not to say that we weren't talented 6 years ago, but compared to the fact that there was almost a non-existent scene. Sure, if you had Shama Jumder or Mark Critch, the big names, Trent, come out of the province, right? But there was never a weekly go-to for a club for stand-up. And Yuck Yucks Uptown gives that. They got their Wednesday nights. They got their Comedy with Wings. The Bitters. There's one going on tonight.
Bitters,
There's a Bitters showcase over there. They're keeping that going during the summer. Sarah Walsh has her room that she does at the Levy. In addition to, that's the Funny or whatever show.
Yeah,
right?
It's usually on Sundays.
Usually on Sundays. In addition to that, Luke Lawrence has got
He has a Mary Jane's
thing. But he also had a
Fat Cat
one, a different one.
Benson has put one off too. It's Fat Cat.
Adam see there. Just look at the amount of opportunity there is for people who want to get out and try it, and to be there that night and see everybody. Everyone. In my mind, and Ben alluded to this. He referred to it when he was on Global Morning Toronto, and he said Newfoundlanders wake up funny, right? Intentionally or not, we wake up funny. We're the nicest people in the world. Get that all the time from people that are visiting. But I was so proud to be there that night and perform amongst 12 comics that did wicked jobs. It was a really, really, anyone who wasn't there, and hasn't been out to any of these local nights in St. John's for stand-up, for the price that you're paying
it's weird, man, because I still know people who haven't been to Yucks at all. And
there's still people who haven't gone to the rooms.
Yeah,
but that's I don't know if that's a Newfoundland thing or if it's a human thing where you take things for granted. You're kind of
I'll get there eventually.
It's there. I'll get there. I know it's there. And it's oh shit, it's closed.
Yeah,
I can't go there.
Well, it's like when a celebrity dies. It's oh no, but I was going to go to see. You know what I mean? They want something they can't.
I was like that with the Geo Center. I was like that with the rooms. I'm guilty of it like anyone else.
Geo Center's still there?
Yeah, no, it's still there, but it's one of these things that the first few years I was like, oh, that's cool. We finally got something of a great national, international caliber, a place that does wicked art exhibits, and it's another center that's an excellence for center for science and geology,
rocks,
and but
space.
you finally get there, right? But you're constantly, I gotta get there, and every time I perform at Yucks, it's almost the same thing. Oh, it's the first time we're here, but we'll definitely be back. You're constantly meeting people that haven't been there before. So, folks, if you haven't been there, get there.
It's only $5 on Wednesday. You get to see 9 comics.
Yeah,
for $5. And these comics. See, I think people think they hear locals and oh, these are whoever. But most of the comics that do the local night have done professional comedy.
Well, they do professional
or
weekends.
done it for years. Yeah,
and they do professional weekends at the club. They do corporate bookings. They're all over the place.
There's a chance for them to get out and work.
Jason Carr. Jason's after doing the comedy festival. Sarah Walsh has done the comedy festival, the St. John's Comedy Festival. Paul Warford, Paul's in Halifax right now, but Paul's done the comedy festival. All these people are coming out of here. Their comedy is being highlighted on national television.
Yeah,
right. I can't say enough.
And you're also doing the Eden show next week in Bay Roberts with John and Sean, right?
Johnny Sheehan going up to Bay Roberts and doing West Side.
Is that sold out yet?
I'm not sure on the ticket sales. John will probably be more attuned to that, but it's one of John's. Someone John knows. His son has got I think it's a fans. There's only like 30 people in the world that have been diagnosed with this, and we're getting together. We're putting off a comedy show, make some people laugh, raise some much needed funds so that they can go. I'm not sure exactly where it is. They're going somewhere in Toronto or to one of the hospitals somewhere. They've got to go for tests or for surgery. So yeah, John approached me, asked me if I wanted to do a show. Myself and him and Sean Burton. It's Thursday, June 19th, at 8 o'clock in Bay Roberts at Westside Charlie's. That's going to be a great night of fun.
It's going to be a good show.
It's going to be a good show. The thing I find when you do comedy, you know, regardless where you're doing it, but like I find even more so when you go out to places outside of St. John's, you get a great showing and you get a great, not to say the St. John's audiences don't appreciate it because they do, but like you always get a sense that when you go to these places where it's oh yeah, we don't always get a stand-up show.
Well, because St. John's has Yuck Yuck.
Right.
So it has every week.
Every week,
show.
right? So like yeah, when it comes through and something like this comes along, like every year we do the Comedy on Fire out in Harbour Grace for the Harbour Grace Volunteer Fire Department because John is also a firefighter. We've done that 4 years running. We raised some funds for those guys. So that's a great deal of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Next week, June 19th.
How much are tickets?
I believe tickets are $15.25 for a pair. So if you buy 2 tickets, it's $25. Don't quote me on that, but you can check my Twitter feed at Stephen_Coombs, Stephen with a PH. Because I'm going to have to tweet that out a few times. I'll try and tweet it out later so that people can see the poster for the show.
So it's going to be, I haven't seen John perform in a while.
Yeah, it's going to be a good show.
Last year, I think at Comedy Fest was the last time I seen him. He did the quote unquote open mic portion because I was there. I did a set.
Yeah,
and John did a set. I think it was last year.
John's great.
It was the year before. I can't remember. You don't really see John. He's busy doing fucking getting rich, I guess. Yeah, he's good. That
XM thing though, I think they're wrapping it up tomorrow night in Vancouver. They've done 8 Canadian cities.
Yeah.
They started in Ottawa, Montreal, St. John's, Toronto. That was like their eastern leg. Then they did, Hamilton, Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Vancouver. So yeah, that's 8. That's 8 Canadian cities.
No Halifax, surprisingly.
No Halifax.
Take that, Halifax. Suck it.
I think they might have done Halifax. I think they did Halifax last year.
I'm not sure. They did St. John's last year too.
They didn't do St. John's last year.
They didn't do St. John's?
No. They did St. John's 2 years ago.
Okay.
It was a different format then. This year, the format is in each, as you know, like in each city, they had a night of 12 comedians. You went online, you put on your audition video, and if you were selected, you got the audition. Like I said before, a great night of comedy. Then the 3 finalists is myself and Nicole Downton and Matt Wright. There's 3 finalists that were picked locally here. There's 3 that are picked in each Canadian city. And I believe July 9th, the voting opens. I'm not sure exactly.
It's all online.
When the videos go online. Yeah. They indicated to me that the videos would be uploaded shortly after they wrap up in Vancouver. So I don't know if the videos are going to be online before July 9th or for viewing prior to voting or right when voting opens. And voting will be open July 9th for 3 weeks. So the Canadian public, the national vote, you pick a comic from each city or maybe you vote for all 3. I'm not sure. I don't know how the logistics are for doing the votes, but eventually, 1 comic comes from each city. So of the 3 from here, one of us will get selected. We'll get to go and perform at JFL 42, which is the Just for Laughs festival in Toronto in September. It's billed as 42 great things to do comedy-wise in Toronto over, I think it's like a week or 10 days. I think it's 10 days. They got 7 headliners and a smattering of shows. So the winner from here, along with the other 7 cities, there'll be 8 finalists who perform at a gala September 25th in Toronto. The winner receives a $15,000 cash prize and the top comic title. So,
and if vote for C because if he wins the $15,000, I get 25% of it.
I'll buy Harry. I'll buy Harry here. Because My good friend Harry Lamkin.
I thought you say he'll buy hair.
No, because I was going to say hair, and I'm going to say Gary, and I said Harry. So yeah, vote for me, Harry, my good friend. I was going to say I'll buy Gary another hot chocolate from Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons plug.
We know
every time we say hot chocolate, $5 goes.
They're constantly raising their prices. It might be $5,000 by then.
By
September. But the cup would be fucking
It's
massive.
funny because my daughter actually said to me, she goes, "Daddy, if you win, will you take me to Disney World?" And I said, "Well, sweetheart," I said, I can't promise you that."
Yeah,
right. It's funny how and she's 7. She's 7 years old. That's the way her brain is working. Like what happened. I came home Friday. They had an article about it in Telegram. They had all our pictures there, and she was very happy. And she sat down and she had a joke book that she started, and she had jokes in there. And some of her jokes were like,
hacky. So what a hack, Steve? Right? Call her hack.
Well,
call her hack. You're a hack. You get that from your mother.
God love her. No, she wrote her jokes, and one of them was like, what was one of the jokes? One of the jokes was, what do you call a mean pickle?
What?
She said a pickle. Which I think she's writing stoner jokes. But I was looking at it, I was thinking a prickle, right? But she's kind of PG. She's a clean comic. But she had a little joke. She had a little joke book done for me, and she asked me, she said, if you win $15,000, can we go to Disney World? Oh, sweetie, I said, like, I can't promise you that. Right?
That trip,
goes,
yeah.
well, I said, because honey, Daddy might not go to Toronto. Like, someone else might go to Toronto. Like, and I said, and even if I do, I might not win.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of really funny comics. I mean, there's a lot of high caliber comics from across Canada getting picked for this contest. I didn't say that, but I thought.
Joey Elias was one of the comics that got picked for
Yes, and Hardy Foss, right?
Big names.
There are big names. Oh, God, there's some. Oh, God.
It's fucked up how, like, they can compete.
But this is it. It's open to anyone. It's open at any level, right? But she asked me, I said, well, sweetie, I can't promise you Disney World. Right?
Like, I bring a dildo.
She's like, I can't promise you Toronto. Does that mean you're not going to vote for me, sweetheart? Like,
bring a fox. Do I lose a vote? You got to be political.
Well, this is the thing, right? How much ice cream can I buy for you? But I'd say it's funny. She had her piano recital Saturday morning, and we're driving down, and she goes, "Seems like only yesterday I was going to my first piano recital. Do you remember that?"
That was yesterday. Do you have ulcers?
I was like, no, sweet. Yeah, I do remember that. Time sure goes by fast, doesn't it, Dad?
She's 7?
She's 7. Right?
Got a mind of a 69-year-old.
Well, she said to my wife later that day, we after recital we had breakfast, and she said,
my spider veins are hurting.
She said, "Mommy," she said, in another 10 years, I'll be graduating high school and getting married. I'm like, oh my God.
Got a boy lined up.
I don't know. She's a smart cookie. They keep me going. Those kids.
But we've been trying to nail on this podcast for like 8 years now.
Yes, that's what's so funny is because like Gary will call me and say, oh yeah, but I'm after having Pattersons after doing it, and all these big names,
all these names are doing it. Where
comics, and it's like, so Steve, what do you think? I can't do it this week, Gary. I have swimming, and then I have figure skating,
and then I got scheduled pink eye.
Then I have Pilates. Well, that's what the past few weeks. Are okay. Sarah, one daughter gets stomach flu. And, of course, that then goes on to the second child. And she got stomach flu and then a bad cold and then pink eye. And it's like, well, I don't want to come in and infect you. And plus I'm up to my elbows in shit and vomit. And
literally.
And eyeball pus. So, like, it's just so hard to lock these things down. What else you want to talk about?
Fuck, I think that might be it.
Is that it?
We're at an hour and 43.
An hour and 43?
Yeah. And a half.
And what's the longest one of you have done?
2.
2 hours.
Me and Manolis are 2 hours.
You and Manolis.
Me and Manolis are 2 hours. This was last week's, and we stopped. We kept going, and I was like, because he had to go to the washroom.
What's the length for podcasts? Is there?
Well, Joe Rogan's a 3-hour one.
3 hours.
Like I would never do anything over 3. I don't think I'd ever reach 3.
I think Trent's are like around 50 minutes, maybe just under an hour or something like that. I can see that because it's.
But when I do it by myself, it's an hour.
Yeah, like it's a comfortable enough length to put on at work.
Yeah.
Someone, I don't know how well this one is.
We're going for a drive.
Turn out, right? Wow, the guy really rambled for an hour.
I'll call you up later. Yeah, Steve, I accidentally deleted our podcast. Again.
Hey, Gary, I really like that podcast you did with Steve Coombs. Too bad you didn't get to talk too much. Kind of likes to hear him. I'm verbose. I don't know. Someone asks me something.
No, man, it's good. You're the guest.
I go on a tangent.
You're the guest. You got to talk.
But then I also feel like I'm trying to give you the best answer that you want and tell you as much that I'm supposed to.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to, as the guy that's hosting, I'm not going to cut you. I got to let you talk.
Oh, yeah.
You're the guest.
Edit it.
Listen to my shit first.
We'll all edit this after Steve.
Just you saying hello and goodbye. That's all it does. That's all I'll leave in. See, he wasn't really talking in the last one. What happened here?
Wow, what a dick. He
had a sore throat.
Doesn't have much to say. He said he had a cold. He's afraid he was going to sneeze all during the podcast.
Well, this is good because this has been the first podcast where I spoke strictly about comedy.
Strictly about comedy?
Yeah, like for this hour and 45 minutes, we just spoke strictly about stand-up and experiences, and this is the first one I've done like that. All the rest of it has been kind of like me and Manolis talked about cocks for about an hour and 40 minutes.
And on a side note, we need 2% milk, paper towels, and medium sandwich bags.
There's size? There's sizes?
Yeah, there's sizes. There's small, there's snack size.
I keep going back to dick bags.
So you learn, okay, there's dick bags.
There's dick bags?
Dick lock, like Ziploc bags. Well, there's
dick lock bags.
There's snack size sandwich bags. There's, there's small and medium and large. So you learn all this stuff, Gary, when
I can't wait.
When you have humans to feed in your house other than yourself, and you have to learn how to buy things in bulk and refrigerate them and
I'll just throw a sandwich in a garbage bag. That's cool. There you go.
Well, that's what happens with me. The children are fed well, but the parents are like, that's why I'm wearing clothes that are 10 years old from Eddie Bauer when they first opened and eating peanut butter and jam for lunch. Because Daddy loves you.
Does peanut butter expire?
What? I think it does. I don't eat like I call it the glass peanut butter now. Like a few years ago when I was
get the one you got to shake up?
Well, this is what I buy.
Gross.
What I buy is, and I never thought I'd eat it, is the all natural peanut butter.
Gross.
It's not gross.
Fucking gross.
No, I know. You got to get used to it. I can't eat the other shit now.
You got to get used to it. That's like saying just take it up your ass. You get used to it.
When I first started going through all my weight loss stuff, and I was going to a nutritionist, and she was saying to me, she said, you got to have it with some jam. I tried it. I went in. I told her, I said, I'm sorry. I can't fucking eat that. Right? That is horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. And it's not just peanut butter. It's an exercise.
You got to shake it. Use your forearm strength.
Yes. I mean, you gotta mix the thing. Because you got to refrigerate it. When you buy it, there's like about 2 inches of oil on top. Yeah. Right. But see, this just goes to show you because emulsification just come to my mind. Emulsified. I don't know what it means, but it has something to do with things either not staying together or there's all this shit that's in the peanut butter you like.
Yeah.
Right? Or we traditionally like. It's packed with sugar and preservatives.
That's why it's good.
And the trans fats, all this hydrogenated fucking oils that keep the stuff together and eventually give you cancer. Right? But no, because you buy the natural peanut butter. And what you do, this is what I do anyway, you get the hand mixer or whatever, give it a good mix, get it mixed up once, and you refrigerate it. And then every time you take it out, because you got to refrigerate it because it's natural.
You got to refrigerate because it's shit, it'll fall apart. That's why it's great to be eating it.
But that's why, because it's natural and it doesn't have the stuff to stick it together. So once you give it one good mix up and you put it in the fridge, you never have to mix it up again for as long as you got that crock of peanut butter, right? And every time you go, just give it a little... a gentle little swirl with the butter knife, right?
You gotta caress it.
You gotta caress. You gotta caress. You gotta fondle the peanut butter.
A couple of dates and it has to go steady.
Well, this is it. It turns from like the first time I bought it. Like I said, I was like, it's a fucking chore to eat the thing, and then you learn to love it, and that's when you turn the caress the peanut butter.
I've changed him. He's great now.
The fridge. Yeah. Well, this is the thing, right? Like, but I learned you put it on. With a bit of jam.
Bit of peanut butter. But not real peanut butter.
Peanut butter is fucking awesome. Yeah. You get natural peanut butter, or real fucking peanut butter, and it's awesome. No, but you put it on with jam, and it compensates for the sweetness that you're missing from all the sugar that's in it. I'm telling you, man, you start...
I've had it once.
Well, now I can actually eat it without the jam. Like, I eat it on the toast or on the bread, and I find I find that if you...
We're having this podcast, we're talking about peanut butter.
I know, I don't care. Just because you cursed it by saying, it's the first podcast...
Talking about comedy.
Nobody ever talked about comedy.
Do I talk like that?
And then fucking fat Bruce Willis started talking about peanut butter. But like, you'll notice, if you eat natural peanut butter, and you know, then you take a bite of, like, you're at someone's house and all they got is, like, regular peanut butter with all the stuff and the sugar and
Wouldn't
salt.
complain, yeah.
It's like chewing. To me, it's like chewing sand. It's gritty, and you're chewing into the sugar and the salt that's in.
So you're used to this shit now.
Well, I like natural peanut butter.
You know what? Here's funny. I had it once. I bought it once.
Yeah.
I opened it up and I seen the shit on top and I threw it up. I didn't know it was supposed to be like it. Like that's not. Why is it there's a lake in here? And I just threw it out.
Well, see, the reason I knew you had to mix it up was because I remember, and this happens when you become domesticated, you end up watching stuff like Shopping Bags and, you know, like Anna and Christina on the Women's Network and The Mom Show when your wife is pregnant and your phone and going, what cycle are you at? But, like, I remember watching, had an episode, like, they'll always have stuff like, we want to know what was the best razor or what was the best, you know, peanut butter. And the guys were complaining about, like, having to mix the peanut butter up. That's the only reason. It's like, oh, okay, when you buy that shit, you got to mix it up.
I missed that episode, I guess.
Thank you to the Shopping Bags.
I just fucking threw it out.
Huh?
I just threw it out.
No.
You know what's bad for you? Cheese whiz. Just like the shopping
I don't eat that. I can't eat cheese.
Processed cheese. Not even cheese. I'm going to call it cheese. Just whiz. Who made a joke about that? Someone made a joke about that. I heard a joke lately. About whiz.
I can't even, like, just the smell fucking cheese whiz just turns my stomach. I can't smell it. It's like, it's got this, you don't belong here smell, right?
It's like, it should be eaten.
It's funny how smells work. I was talking about that with one of my buddies today, and I said, like...
That's always a good joke. It's funny how smells work.
No, it's funny how smells work. Well, I remember the first time I went into Kinderstart for my daughter, right?
Yeah.
I said, I got to take this. I got to put it into one of my jokes because I'm always talking about Sarah and going to school and the first time bringing her to school. Well, I remember when we took her at the Kinderstart. And it wasn't even when we took her in. We went for like a Kinderstart meeting. Yeah. It was in the nighttime when all the children have left the school and it's just the parents there meeting. And you're walking through the doors of an elementary school and like your olfactory senses are just annihilated. Like they're just assaulted. Like you get this mix.
Shit, that shit.
No. You get this. It's the only scent I can equate it. It's elementary school. Like it's like all of a sudden you're like, you're taken back and oh my god, I'm 7. It's recess. My chocolate milk is warm. Like you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
you walk into a school and you're, holy shit!
What is it? The smell of a church?
Well, it smells like plastic. Like you just like smell. Like just reminded me of my. I found this picture recently because I was trying to remember my lunchbox. I could remember. It's like those big ass orange plastic lunchboxes we used to have made by Thermos brand, and mine was orange and it had an X-wing fighter on it from Star Wars. It was a Star Wars lunchbox. But you have that like it's recess. You open your lunchbox. And there's a peanut butter, a shitty peanut butter and jam sandwich in there, and a thermos full of like chocolate milk and other stuff like an apple or an orange or something or peaches, some kind of Del Monte fruit cup packed in sugar
something
water.
You threw out.
But like it's the smell of kindergarten. It's a smell of like you're smelling Play-Doh, peanut butter, and piss. Like you know, it's just like this pissy elementary school. You know what I'm saying? It's an elementary school smell. It was like that walking in the MUN. Like when I walked in, when I came into the university tonight, coming through TSC, and I didn't even have this TSC when I came here. My TSC was over in the. My TSC was in the Inco Innovation Center.
Okay.
That was the TSC when I went to. I remember last year we came here putting up posters for Trent's show. My wife and I, we started over in Field House, in the new Field House, and we walked through the old Field House, then through the tunnels of the basement, and I inherently knew where the fucking tunnel went. And I can remember, you know, it's almost like, you know, like an animal coming out of hibernation.
Yeah.
And as you're walking, but what was so weird is like as you're walking through all the tunnels, that you get no smells of like, this is none. Right? and you're also getting like, oh my Jesus, there's like 10,000 staples in that bulletin board, and this place hasn't been painted. Like I graduated in 97. with my
computer
science degree. But a lot of the stuff is still the same. You come up in the foyer of the science building, and it was like going in time zones, like the different eras, like brand new field house, old arts tunnel, old science building.
Yeah.
And then, oh my God, old chemistry building, stairs up through the lecture theatre. A lot of it's the same. And then then you warp into, Jesus, the new TSC. And then the old engineering building. Stuff has changed, but it was like a weird, I don't know, sideways time wormhole thingy. I just had to mention it because that's it.
just tapered off. That's like happened there. It's like a warm time.
Well, I suppose elementary school is like
See,
it's the smells of hope and prosperity. You're gonna go for it, and you're gonna grow up someday and be a policeman. And then university is like a smell of.
I spent my
hot and pessimism.
Elementary. I spent my elementary years opening my sandwich case to the smell of eggs, and all the kids going, "You smell like poo!" And you're run away.
You're an egg salad boy. Oh my God, I did not like egg sandwiches.
Yeah, I didn't like. I threw them out. I didn't like. I stopped eating them because I got picked. Like, oh shit, we poop, and I was like, no, and I covered it up.
That's the worst thing. Is like, did you have white jeans too?
No, I didn't.
In your school? Did you? No. But usually, like, I don't know. I guess it's the time stuff, but like. Like egg sandwich kid had like white jeans, like wore white jeans, and ate with their mouth open. There's this one guy who used to eat egg sandwiches, and he'd be sat across from the cafeteria, and he'd just be like, with his mouth like just wide open. I was like, oh, and you're not allowed to move. You gotta sit there and just kind of stare, look at your buddy, and look at your Luke Skywalker while you're trying to get those peanut butter jam sandwiches and. Ignore the smell of egg sandwiches. Oh, that's a smell I never...
That is a smell.
Sandwiches.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
No,
table used to clear... The cafeteria used to clear out. You should shut it down like it's fucking biohazard.
Oh, man.
That's how I spent mine alone. That's what happened to me.
And that's how I got into comedy, Steve.
Yeah, that's how... And that's when I killed him.
Here's the lesson, kids, from today's podcast.
Don't eat eggs.
Don't eat eggs. Tell your mom. Well, a lot of kids probably aren't eating eggs today with food allergies.
Yeah, all the shit now. Can you bring a peanut in to lock it down?
I went to my daughter's class one day, and there was... No, this was when my wife was teaching. And I dropped something after her one day, and there was they'll have pictures of the kids up on the door with like a Ghostbuster non-smoking sign, and it's like every single thing they're not allowed to come in contact with, and you feel bad for them, but at the same time, like, oh my God, really? Like all that?
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah, I remember one time I had in junior high, I had a Reese's cup at lunch. Steve, this is a true story. Okay,
I get detention for a week.
No, I get whipped. I had a Reese's cup. And at this point, the no peanut thing was kind of still there, but it wasn't really enforced until that day. I had a Reese's cup, and the principal, I don't know how she found out. I said a Reese's cup, and she made me do this. She found some like the travel toothpaste. I don't know where it came from. Man, I never had a toothbrush. She just gave it to me, and I had to put it on my finger and fucking brush my teeth.
Finger bang your mouth.
You had to finger bang my mouth because I had a Reese's cup.
Reese's cup.
Oh my God.
I had to sodomize my face because I ate peanut butter.
That's a true story. That is a true story. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what? What the fuck?
Hey, everybody. Egg boy is finger banging his face.
Oh, again? Oh, shit. I don't know how she found out. But I had to fucking suck my finger to get the peanuts out. It was embarrassing.
Oh, man.
It was embarrassing, Steve.
Yeah.
I think the peanuts killed it.
The peanuts done it.
The peanuts, now we're done.
It's the allergies. Allergies have killed this podcast.
Yeah. We're talking about 58.
58, 158.
We spoke, we got too real.
Got too real. Brought it back down to earth. I'm done. How about you? I'm not, I mean, do you want to keep talking, or is this it? How do you end your podcast? Is there
I just ended.
Does the band play?
The band plays us out.
Kevin Eubanks from the Tonight Show is over in the corner. Wouldn't that be awesome? We could
hire someone,
just fool people into thinking you got like a band.
Play it up, Jackson. Someone fucking.
I got. You know what? My coffee was double cupped. Maybe I could.
So was mine.
There you go. We got 4 cups. Maybe we could do like the cup song.
The cup song, yeah. I just end it. I just go. Okay.
All right, Gary. Well, it's been a slice. Thanks for having me. And
it's been a slice.
It's been a slice. It's been a slice of
all
natural peanut butter. You old bastard.
It's been a slice.
This was fun. This was a
nice
psychedelic. This was a nice.
It's been jivey.
It's been.
You turkey.
Been jivey.
I got called a turkey one time in grade 9 by the principal.
A turkey.
Yeah. So stop sitting down. Sit down. Stop being a wild turkey.
A wild turkey.
Yeah. I got called a wild turkey.
Sit down, butterball.
Stuff you. No, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, saucy turducken.
I think you plugged everything. You have a Twitter or Facebook page or anything?
I got Steve Coombs Comedy.
Facebook?
It's OOMBS, like Mr. Dressup's last name.
I'll put your when I upload, I'll put your name in it.
Cool. That's Facebook. Steve Coombs Comedy. SteveCoombs.ca is the website, and Stephen_Coombs STEPHEN Coombs with a B, no E. Because Steve Coombs was taken. So SteveCoombs.com was taken by a very handsome-looking Steve Coombs down in the States. He's an actor, so I couldn't get that domain. And I had to go with
Steve Coombs.
But there's this other guy. Okay, this will be the last thing, I promise.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's this other guy, and last year, when I set up the Twitter, and then one day I started getting a couple of mentions. I'm still learning how to use Twitter, and it's this dude down in the States, and oh God, some state, Midwestern state. Anyways, some dude, Steve Coombs. And now the guy started getting these mentions. I was like, okay, these are Twitter mentions. Okay. And he goes like, Steve, just found my looper. And found my looper. Because, like, you know, I get the Bruce Willis thing.
Yeah.
But I call it Fat Bruce Willis, right? Like, he's, hey, found my looper on Twitter. He's a not-so-funny comedian from Newfoundland, bald, middle-aged guy. Here's a warning, everybody. Don't find your looper. It's a sad...
Was he a comic?
No, he's just some fucking little shithead.
He's just calling me out like a...
Calling me out, just being an internet troll, right?
Yeah.
I was like, really? Come on.
What the hell?
And then I kind of sat there for a second. I was, that wasn't very nice.
That could hurt my feelings.
This is cyberbullying.
Yeah.
And I said to my wife, I said, what the fuck is this? Just look at it, right? And she's like, oh, just ignore it.
Did you tweet back?
No, I just looked up and I said, how do you block somebody? Because I don't want to see this shit coming up my feed because it's annoying. So I just clicked block. And then out of curiosity, like 2 days later, it's like, is the little fucker still saying stuff? Right now, I looked up, he's like, oh, what a puss bag. He blocked me. Touche, Looper, touche. So I haven't thought about him since, but every time you mention the Twitter thing, the Twitter handle.
Puss bag.
That's what's fun. That's why I'm Steven.
Did he call you a puss bag?
Something like that. I don't know. I'm just howling a word out of my ass. But it was just funny. It was comical.
Bags on this one.
I was like,
Ziploc bags, dick bags.
I said ass.
Puss bags.
My ass, not my bag.
No, puss bag.
Oh, puss bag, yeah. Douche bag.
Dick bags.
There you go. Let's end on the bag. I think we got this one in the bag. There you go.
Oh, wow.
See what I did there?
Wow. Yeah, as opposed to let's come out with a bag, let's go out with a bag.
No, we got it in the bag.
I got it. I heard
there
it.
You go. Started. That's my callback to the dick bag.
There's a high note to end on. There's a high note to end on. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, man. Vote for me July 9th.
Yes, go on SiriusXM.com.ca.
Send me to
Toronto.com. That's one of them.
Topcomic.SiriusXM.ca.
There it is. Check out Steve. Whoa! Twilight Zone. Check out Steve at Bay Roberts, Westside Charlie's. Next, more than one. There's plural. There's more Charlie's. It's going to be there. Next week, June, what's the date?
June 19th, 8 p.m., Westside Charlie's, Bay Roberts.
All right, check them out, guys. Thanks for being here, Steve.
Thank you for having me, buddy.
All right, guys. See you next week.
Cheers.